What's your make your predictions for the Final Four?
Predictions for Final Four. I do think that as much as I want to talk myself into one of the other three teams, they have legitimate chances. This is not UConn is not head and shoulders better than everybody, but UConn has not had a game within single digits against the team outside of the Big East, and I think that means something. And I do think there's something to, like we joked about it before, but I think there's some real truth to it that the Big East can scout them better. There's more familiarity with them. I think the refs hate Dan Hurley in the Big East. I think playing on the road, as it turns out, is very difficult. So I think all of those factors led to UConn, kind of hitting a speed bump in the middle of the year. But then when you actually zoom out and look at their season, and when they've been put in these situations, they beat the hell out of Alabama early in the season. They've beaten literally every single non-Big East team they've played. They've beaten by 10 or more. I do think Miami can beat them. I do think the winner of San Diego State, Florida Atlantic could beat them. I would have to be an absolute fool to count on that to happen. The question will be this, and I'll get to the prediction. I'm talking through it, TJ. Don't yell at me. I can see you yelling at me with your eyes. The question I have is if this is a close game, Miami's comfortable in a close game. If Miami's hitting all their shots, say, and UConn's throwing up bricks or foul trouble, or Miami going small is giving Klingon and Sonogo fits, and they can't get out and guard ball screens as well as they probably should be. If that starts happening, will Dan Hurley lose his mind and how much is he going to be yelling at refs, and how much is he that's that when I wrote the manifesto and I said that crazy coaches can't win national titles, that was what I had in mind, was these situations that arise where you're no longer just trying to get your team going, you're an active liability to your team because you think you're working the refs, but all you're really doing is pissing the refs off. And I'm worried about that with Hurley, that if the game gets close, is Miami more comfortable there? And is this psychopath Hurley going to come out? Having said all that, I do like UConn to still beat Miami. I think San Diego State's going to beat Florida Atlantic. I think Florida Atlantic's going to go 3 for 24 from the 3-point line, and Florida Atlantic people are going to be like, "Damn, we would have won that game if we just had an off shooting night." And then San Diego State fans are going to laugh and say, "That's been literally every team that we've played this year has had an off shooting night." It's funny how that keeps happening. And then San Diego State will lose to UConn because UConn would be if San Diego State mucks it up against UConn's going to be just fine. I think UConn can win in so many different styles, and that game could get pretty ugly. I think that's how it's going to shake out. I called the Final Four last year, by the way. People forget that I said I'm on a podcast feed somewhere saying that it's going to be Kansas over Carolina, and no one gives me credit for that. Everyone just points to how I said Kentucky was going to win the national championship, and then they lost in the first round. But I did call that. So there you go. I got UConn over San Diego State as my prediction.